Annyeonghaseyo and welcome to Korea. 10 years ago, Korean films were virtually unknown outside of this country. But in the last decade, the Hallyu, or Korean wave, has swept not just across Asia, but the whole of the world. South Korea is one of the major forces in Asia and the world. But what most of us actually know about the country is not much. And one thing we've been very much in the dark about is Korean cinema. During the course of this programme, I'll be looking at some of the best directors currently working in this country, as well as looking at their films. But of course, to fully appreciate those movies, we need to put them into some kind of a context. That context being not just cinematic, but, I'm afraid, also historical. From 1910 until the Second World War, Korea was occupied by Japan. For 35 years, the Japanese brutally suppressed Korean culture, trying to force their own way of life, even their own language, upon them. After the war, Russia and America divided Korea in half, leaving a communist north and a Western-orientated south. And while the south was busy creating a forward-looking economy, the north was assembling a fearsome military machine. And then, in 1950, the North invaded the South, kicking off the Korean War. For 3 years, they fought to a stalemate. When a truce was finally signed, Korea remained divided along roughly the same lines as before the costly and ultimately pointless war. South Korea soon evolved into an industrial giant, albeit under a persistent Cold War cloud. But the oppression wasn't only from the north, it was also from within. Until the 1990s, the country was ruled by an authoritarian military regime. But ever since proper democracy kicked in, South Korean culture has taken off like one of those missiles the north may or may not be pointing at them. For most of the 20th century, South Koreans were dominated by repressive powers. But as a new century unfurls, they've turned the tables. A wave of Korean culture has now submerged much of Asia, and it's even lapping at our shores. They have a name for this Korean wave: Hallyu. To lovers of cinema, the Hallyu is reminiscent of France in the 60s, Hollywood in the 70s, or Hong Kong in the 80s. And there are several explanations for this splendid state of affairs. First, in the 1980s, the state licensing system, which acted as a form of censorship, was abolished. Then, public filmmaking grants were made widely available. Film schools flourished. For a new generation, filmmaking suddenly started to look like an appealing and viable career.
New filmmakers came into the business. People in their 20s and 30s who were determined to make movies that broke the previous pattern of filmmaking. I think the whole industry had a really radical change of generation.
We are the generation from the 1980s. This young generation with a critical attitude towards society came into the cinema industry and began producing genre movies. These were not merely genre movies, however, they were enriched with one's values and philosophy.
I think European cinema, with its long history, has already depicted many experiences. There are audiences out there who want to see something new. This, I believe, has inspired the filmmakers to show an interest in new types of expressions.
This perfect storm of converging events, changing tastes and a bumper crop of new talent has recently made Korea the world's hottest hotbed of hot cinema. And no Korean filmmaker is hotter than Park Chan-wook. 42-year-old Park Chan-wook was virtually unknown 5 years ago. But that was before he directed the biggest hit in Korean history. His instant success came from being one of the first filmmakers to boldly confront Korea's tragic post-war division, symbolized by this outpost. It's known as the Joint Security Area, or JSA, and it straddles the most heavily fortified border on Earth. Although it might look like I'm standing smack dab in the middle of the demilitarized zone that separates North from South Korea, of course I'm not. This is just a set which brilliantly recreates that area at the Kofik Namyangju Studios just outside of Seoul. And I hope you appreciate the massive restraint I'm showing in not referring to this place as Koreawood. It was right here that the first big breakthrough movie of the Hallyu was shot, the excellent thriller Joint Security Area. JSA explores the Western world's perception of a North Korea populated by evil robots spouting commie dogma and pledging mindless loyalty to their diminutive dear leader.
조선노동당 맞아! 경야는 조사령관 김정일 장군 맞아!
In this scene, an American tourist learns that North Korea can be an axis of niceness too.
고맙습니다.
Adults in South Korea were educated with an iconic representation of North Koreans as being evil. You know, like with two horns. When I depicted North Korean soldiers as being passive and humane, it came as a shock to them. I think it broke a taboo.
When a South Korean border guard accidentally steps on a landmine, a pair of North Koreans come to his rescue. They all become mates, and yet each remains loyal to his own side.
우리 공화국에선 왜 이런 거 못 만드나 몰라. 형. 응?
아니 뭐 딴 건 아니고 안 내려올래? 초코파이 배 찢어지게 먹을 수 있잖아. 아휴, 아니면 말고.
이수혁이 내 딱 한 번만 얘기할 테니까 잘 들어들어. 내 꿈은 말이야. 언젠가 우리 공화국이 남조선보다 훨씬 더 맛있는 과자를 만드는 게야. 알겠어? 그때까진 어쩔 수 없이 이쪽 꽃바위를 그리워할 수밖에 없어.
Since the Korean War, any change between North and South Korea has been seen and continues to be seen as risky. The fact that soldiers met at the military demarcation line is seen